Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
Woo! Well. Folks, wasn't that a game? Welcome back to Game Over. Welcome back to Game Over Edmonton. After a dramatic Game 3 in which the LA Kings knock out the Edmonton Oilers to take a 2-1 series lead. It's your boy Avry, joined by our man Zach, and guest appearance, a little bit of a crossover.
Hey,
Toronto's Fuad joins us on a
what is this crossover?
What
is this, a crossover episode? Oh my goodness. It is. It's like, you know what time it is right now? It's the time where it's dark outside and you hear the birds chirping. That is the creepiest time of night. But I am here because that was a fantastic game. Really glad that you brought this elitist Torontonian on. Talk about the game, because the Oilers are always the team I go for when the Leafs are not in it. It's like, that's like the next team. I just always kind of gravitated to them since that 06 Cup run. That was like, that captivated me. So I am a sometimes Oilers fan. It's like my next team. So I come in peace.
Oh, there you go.
Appreciate it.
Plus, what the hell can I say?
No Connor McDavid signing with Toronto in 3 years. Comments from you, Fuad, tonight?
No. I mean, well, that's going to be he's going to have space because Austin Matthews will be in Arizona. So I mean, that we're just as damaged. I'm just as damaged as you all.
Yeah, clearly.
The classic tropes of banter between Edmonton and Toronto. So we have a lot of things to get into. We'll get into the highs, the lows, the good, the bad, and the ugly from Game 3 in Los Angeles. But first, a message from my friends at Sports Interaction. Get in on the action and make your bet with Sports Interaction. Every hit, every shot, every goal. From all your favorite teams and players. With competitive odds, the best in live in-play, and more ways than ever to get into the game. Like Minute Madness, our exclusive game with so many opportunities to win by the minute. Download the app in Ontario, use the QR code you see at the bottom of your screen, or head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN to get started. 19 plus, and please play responsibly. All right. With that being said, Game 3. Zach, what's your heart rate? What's your blood pressure sitting at right now? What's your heart rate right now, Zach, after that game? Are you is it stable?
Okay, so when they went to overtime, I had already just instilled the belief within myself. I knew the loss was coming. I knew there would be an overtime penalty or something ridiculous would happen and they would take the L. And I just let myself already get comfortable talking about a loss, before the overtime period started, so I don't feel nearly the heartbreak and the discombobulation that I felt after Game 1. I know there's a ton of Kings fans, and I saw SDPN say it in chat. I know I presented myself as this neutral figure last show, but let's just get one thing straight. This is Game Over Edmonton. I'm a homer. Avery is a journalist. I don't know. Fuad's the most neutral there is here. But
sometimes. Yeah.
For any fucking goof who's going to go in the comments and go, you didn't talk about them fantastic face-off plays by Gabe Vilardi in the neutral zone, I'll tell you right now, I do not give a fuck. LA, through 3 games in a row, 5-on-5, they played one good period. This first period, they have been dominated. Like a fucking trash team. The Oilers are pulling out a 12-gauge shotgun like they need to be checked. Someone needs to check them in a loony bin because they have self-harm issues. And I don't know if it's appropriate for me to say, so I apologize. Because they pull out a shotgun and shoot themselves in the face. Every game, they do it to themselves. Like, the amount of undisciplined penalties is unbelievable. Klim Kostin, I get it. The refs have sucked. I know they've sucked. Anyone who says they haven't sucked is just wrong.
I think even the refs would say they sucked. I think they would say, yeah, we kind of suck, guys. I'm sorry.
They got emotional early on. From pulling Desharnais out of the scrum with Dursey at the beginning, that was ridiculous. When Klim Kostin, man, that penalty, when you know that the refs are calling the game like that, you can't just hang out on top of Iafallo. I get that he's holding your stick. If that's the case, drop your stick and go back because they're going to call you for that. And and I know there's a ton of plays we can point to about again, I want to say all the Oilers penalties are deserved Like, just get that out of the way. Like, there is not one time, even the nurse one, where Arvidsson dove like he's about to win a gold medal.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I thought he died. I was like, what happened? This man's knee fell off. And then I looked at the replay. I'm like, oh my God.
I was
Joel
shocked.
Embiid is blushing somewhere. Like, you know.
I couldn't believe. And then you knew he was going to, I made it such a big reaction. I'm going to walk down the tunnel. I'm going to go to the dressing room. I'm going to walk right back.
Acted like he was injured. He committed to the pit. I love it.
And it's funny because the Kings have done that before. In the regular season, McDavid hit Kempe. Kempe fell to the ice, didn't get up. Because the Kempe was injured, they gave McDavid a 5-minute major, kicked him out of the game. And guess who was back right on the first shift of faceoff for the power play? Adrian Kempe. It's a consistent thing with the LA Kings. I know this year they didn't get any embellishment calls, but like Kevin Bieksa on the broadcast, and I know Adam Wild loves to say that if they talk about officiating on the broadcast, they will get a call from the league. Like, they don't usually talk about officiating. Kevin Bieksa called out 2 plays for diving. Elliot Friedman, and we can talk. And I'm sorry, I've said so much so fast because all of a sudden when I start talking, my heart just starts pounding.
Just okay, man. Bare your soul. Bare it to me.
Yeah, no,
I'm here. I'm here to help. I'm here to listen to you.
And the one penalty that I really want to talk about, because I don't think there's been a worse penalty call in the entire history of National Hockey League playoffs, is the Leon Draisaitl unsportsmanlike penalty.
Oh my God!
What was that?
God, what are we doing here?
Now,
That's the second best player in the game. What are we doing? Come on, I get it. It's whatever. It might be unsportsmanlike, but this is the playoffs. These guys are playing for everything. This is all they've ever worked for. Of course, they're going to be emotional. Why? That kind of stuff. I'm with you there. That was trash. I would have said it was trash on the other side as well. Like, it's total trash. Let these guys have emotion. Let these guys have personality. Oh my God. God forbid. Avery, sorry. I heard you try cutting in there.
no, I was going to say, no, don't get me wrong. That call is very soft. I mean, yes, it is emotional. But in that moment, as one of the captains on the team, you got to find a way, if you're Leon, to park that. Because in that moment right there, you just score. You take the lead. I know it's tough. I know it's not react. In that moment, though, you cannot hurt your own team with that kind of slash, because you see how they're calling the game. You have a feeling now for how the game is going to be called, and they're going to call it ticky-tacky stuff, right or wrong. You feel, Leon, you cannot do that to your team.
No, absolutely not. That's the thing. And Leon talked about after the first game, he said, we need to be more mature. We can't be taking stupid penalties. And the Kings have suckered the Oilers into taking a ton of these undisciplined penalties. And that's where you can credit the Kings. Drew Doughty has been phenomenal. And even if you are embellishing, like, that's the name of the game, right? You're in the playoffs, anything goes. Yeah, it's cheap, it's dirty, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, the Kings are winning this battle. I think partially there's partially a factor that the refs don't want to call as many penalties on the Kings, because they know that if they call a penalty on the Kings, there's a 50% chance it will end up in the back of the net and they've impacted the game. What drives me fucking nuts, because the Matthias Ekholm cross-check in the corner early in the game, right? You call it, Kopitar goes down, you call it a penalty, that's fine. But are we serious? How many times is Connor McDavid behind the net and there was a Kings defenseman just giving him 2-handers to the back? There's a GIF going around on Twitter of Phil Deneau taking a swing like he's Barry Bonds going for the home run record and just taking McDavid's feet up from under him, and it's nothing. Again, I saw someone point out, if that's Leon Draisaitl, that's 5 in a game. It's just the way that it's been called. The Oilers need, but the thing is, and the thing is, with all that being said, and I can sit here and bitch about the rest, but at the end of the day, that is, whether I want to, I could sit here for 2 hours here. It's a loser's mentality, right?
Yeah.
We think the Oilers going into the playoffs 13-0-1, right? They were beating all these good teams. If they can't come over this, if they can't get through the defense that the Kings throwing at them, and I understand that the Kings are probably the most well-equipped team to shut down the Oilers. If the Oilers were or are as good as we thought they were, they would be able to fight through this, right? I understand there's a lot of adversity. I understand some of that adversity comes on the ice. Some of that adversity comes off the ice in the form of rap videos that idiots make, right?
Oh, man. It's just, hey, what are you talking about? That I put that rap next to Kendrick Lamar's newest album. I put that next to Big Steppers. I think that's gonna take the Grammy, guys. That was music at its absolute finest. Gene Principe just absolutely vibing out there. Man, I just saw this video right now. You guys just sent to me, and I'm like, and you mentioned that. Now we're gonna go off the rails here, but you mentioned that No team in any sport that's made a rap or had a fan make a rap, that's like the kiss of death that ends their playoff hopes, right? Like that's what you told me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. It's you got the Milwaukee Bucks, the San Diego Padres, the most famously to Oilers fans, but the Calgary Flames last year. Calgary Flames were going strong. They released that god awful rap video, and they crashed and burned to the point where they still have not recovered. And this guy sees what happens, all-time fail at reading the room, and releases the rap. I've never seen a ratio like that. Just delete, 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 delete. And I blame him for the loss tonight. He's my number one. He gets the worst star of the day. We're Sportsnet worst performer, whatever.
Wow. So Zach is blaming. If anyone wants to make Oiler raps, do not do it. Zach said don't. Put down the SoundCloud account. Put down the Spotify account. No more raps from Oiler fans, according to Zach.
No, absolutely. I will be your number one hater if you come up with an Oilers rap during the playoffs.
Listen, I live in Toronto, and there are so many, amazing rappers in Toronto. I guarantee you're gonna see like just some kid in his bedroom be like, "Yo, go Leafs, go!" Yep. Yo, it's the flow of the go Leafs. I don't know. It's gonna be terrible. It's gonna be, and we're gonna lose, and I'm gonna blame him, not the Leafs or the refs either.
It's gonna come out right before Game 7, and I guarantee you that if it does, that's the downfall. It's not the Leafs. It's the rap. I'm telling you, it's the rap. It's always
as soon as I see the rap happen, I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna see the officials for the game: Wes McCauley, Eric Furlat. I'm like, oh crap.
Well, these two. Yeah.
The simulation is still broken. Oh my God.
Avery, I have a question. I'll ask you a question. Because I know the officiating is going to be a big topic over the next couple days in Edmonton. Outside of the officiating, why do you think the Oilers lost this game?
I would say, once again, the start was not clean. You saw the zone entries into LA zone were not the best again. Once again, LA's 1-3-1. They pulled that effectively, and that's the thing. Like, LA is made that work for perfection, or not perfection, but it's worked very well. But also, too, Yunus Korpisalo, he's been having another solid game.
What a pickup!
We've seen him in games 1 through 3, guys, have great games where he's kept LA in this series. And once again, he has another night where he makes over 30 saves and has been one of the X factors for LA in the postseason, guys.
Do you guys think that that's probably the most impactful deadline move? Like, we had all these big name forwards move, but that might be the most.
Well, you're talking to two Oilers fans, so I'm going to tell you that Matthias Ekholm is the most impactful deadline acquisition.
You're right. You're right.
But in Avery, I want to both agree and disagree with you here. So I'll tell you what I think. So I agree with you. I think the first two games, I think game 1 specifically, Jonas Korpisalo made a number of key saves when the Oilers were up 2-0 in order to keep them obviously from getting that extra goal and running away with the game, right? And in years past, it was the goals that Jonathan Quick would have let in. Then you saw last game as well. The Oilers were up 2-0. Jonas Korpisalo makes a save on McDavid. A beautiful save on a 2-on-1. Makes a save on Bukestad. Makes a save on Draisaitl. Keeps the Kings in it. The Kings end up tying the game. Obviously, the Oilers end up winning that game late. Similar story here, except the first two games, the Oilers came out with vengeance. The Kings didn't get their first shot for like 18 minutes last game. This game, the Kings had by far their best start of the series, right? That is the first period where you can say, without a doubt, that the Kings carried the pace of play. They were the more dominant team 5-on-5.
Yes.
Now, the thing is, early on, the Kings were so worried about the Oilers' attack that they were not forechecking. And you saw it at points here when the Kings got up by a goal. You could hear when an Oilers defenseman in their own zone had the puck, the crowd would start booing them, right? But the Kings aren't forechecking, so the Oilers are just hanging back, right? Because there's no point of moving the puck up the ice. They're just letting the clock run down. There was no rush or no urgency necessary in order to make that play. The Kings definitely were a way more aggressive team early on, and I think the Oilers' game plan was still catered to that 1-3-1, and that aggressive forecheck that they threw at them early on definitely threw them off their game. Now, Stuart Skinner tonight, I think this was probably his best game of the playoffs. He made a number of key saves, even one on the power play in overtime to keep the Oilers in it, right? Or when the Kings were on the power play. Like, you can't sit here and blame Stuart Skinner. This is another case of, and as maybe this is a cliche, but as like Draisaitl said, you had the immaturity from the penalties. Yes, the Kings were hacking and slashing and whacking, and they're not angels by any means. Like, every penalty that the Oilers have taken is warranted. But again, what was the power play? I feel like the power play discrepancy was, okay. So it was the Kings only had one more power play than the Oilers this game. The funny part is when you look at the rest of the series, and even this game, because the Oilers ended up carrying the pace of the play 5-on-5, after the second and third period, the Kings, even though the Oilers have the puck, somehow are getting more penalty calls in their favor. Like, it just doesn't make sense. When you think about it, you tend to be the team without the puck. You tend to be the team taking more penalties. So I think that's definitely something that I know Oilers fans are going to have a gripe with. I see a lot of Kings fans, celebrating in the chat and whatever. And this is the other thing that I wanted to say. I kind of went on a long tangent. The biggest fundamental difference between the series and the 13 games prior in the regular season is, yes, 9. So you have Leon Draisaitl who showed up. Connor McDavid tonight gave it his all, did everything he could.
Ooh, did he?
Fighting through everything.
He's something.
The difference is during the regular season, the Oilers got support from specifically Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Zach Hyman, and obviously Kane was injured for a long stretch, but they got support from Evander Kane. Now, this series, Zach Hyman, I think this might be one of his worst stretches of hockey as an Edmonton Oiler, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins' play has just fallen off. He just does not look the same, right? He looks like he's fighting the puck a little bit more. Kane can't make a pass, and I think that lack of support that the two big guns are getting 5-on-5 from their wingers is really hurting them. And it's not even to mention Kyler Yamamoto, who always does this. He got a number of opportunities in the slot, but the problem is he either misses the net and I hate shitting on someone for something that they can't control, but he's only 5'7", right? The Kings are running out these guys, the towers on defense. They're able to push him right out of the way, are able to make him miss, and Kyler Yamamoto isn't really as effective in front of the net as someone like, and again, I know this is just the first example that comes to my head, Jesse Puljujarvi, because he's 6'4", and obviously, Cap's long gone, and he wasn't that effective towards the end of his Oilers tenure, but someone, a big body versus a small body, you're able to see the difference. I think, Warren Fogle has shown at times in the series, Klim Kostin, that size does really make an impact when you can get in on the forecheck on the Kings defensemen. You can definitely generate chances. I thought the Bukestad Fogle McLeod line was really good, but again, there's just a number of mistakes where you shoot yourself in the foot. It ends up costing you the game, and the Oilers are down 2-1. And if that song wasn't adversity enough, they're now facing it. If they lose next game, it's a wraps on the season.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Floyd. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I like to your point about like officiating, I had the same. Obviously, I don't know if you guys caught game 1 of the Lightning Leafs series. The officiating always came into focus, even though we couldn't even blame the officials. It wasn't a close game. This one was. But I had someone in the chat here saying, Curtis Doucette saying, stay out of the fucking box. Don't give the refs a chance to make the call. Lots of Fs. I kind of agree with him. Like, I think it's hard to not get caught up in the emotion of the game, but like you can't change the fact that the officials have a certain slant towards a certain style of game. They love the way the Kings play, and they hate the way the Oilers play. That's just the way that they're going to do it. It's not that they're biased, it's just how they're wired. You can't give them that opportunity. I'm in total agreement with Curtis. Like, you can't do that stuff. It doesn't matter what that person did or what aboutism. It doesn't work. Like, you can't control it. They're not going to get better overnight. So the Oilers have to win this series with skill. Like, that's their strength, right? It's like the Leafs, the same thing. They have to win by scoring more goals. I mean, it sounds trite, but it's true.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's totally true. But I know he won't do anything, but it would have been funny if CJ Woodcroft just let him have it, because I think multiple coaches I feel have a gripe. There's more than one coach in the league who has a gripe. You could have an argument for the series with the Islanders in Carolina, bad officiating. There's been multiple series in which officiating has been an issue, and referees have been the main character syndrome. And for the NHL, referees should not be the story. We shouldn't be talking about officiating in multiple series. Yet we're here doing that, and to me, that's a major issue.
Officiating talk, it's monopolized the conversation. It's crazy. Like,
all series,
right? All of them.
Multiple
it's
teams,
not just whiny Leaf fans, right? It's not us like saying, "Oh, Leaf fans cry." But it's we're talking about it here, right? And it was pretty glaring while I was watching it. Like, not to excuse Edmonton. I mean, Edmonton didn't deserve to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the stats on the deserve a win-o-meter said, but
It's like
For
58% in favor of the Oilers. But I'm not going to, with all these Kings fans watching, no way in hell I'm dropping a deserve to win a meter line, because there will be 100 comments under the video telling me that no, the Kings deserve to win. But I think you're nuts.
The Kings,
yeah.
The Kings. From what I heard, the Kings fans, I'm seeing it. I'm not too familiar with Kings fans. They roll pretty deep. I mean, they're a tight group here. They're coming at you.
Oh my god, I was shocked. Sorry, Avery. I'll let you go. Then I'll jump in. But
I was gonna say I will give hockey fans in California credit. Like, you guys are very passionate. I'll say as much to Kings fans. If anybody tells you no one cares about hockey in California, or even Arizona, Florida, that's a bunch of BS.
Oh, we love to see it.
They're a passionate fan base, and there are hella fans down in California. So I'm not surprised that they're here, because you got a great fan base down there with the LA Kings. But I gotta say this much about the series here. You know what though? If they, unfortunately, yes, they have to win, but a 3-1 hole is not the end of the series yet. Teams are coming back from that hole. But again, the big thing now is Sunday. You got to tie, because you don't want to go back to Edmonton down 3-1. And you know, it's funny. I was talking to Kyle Yamamoto a couple of days ago in the locker room, and one thing I did like about this team is that Kyler told me this entire team stands behind Stuart Skinner. I know some people were suggesting the idea of Jack Campbell coming in to replace Skinner, but this entire as horrible. Like say Jack.
What? Yeah. What about me? I mean, I've
Fuad, you know as well
experience. Too. Look, he wasn't quite as bad as he started in it. He started historically bad with the Oilers. I don't know what happened. Maybe he realized it's like snowing in September, and he's like, "Oh crap, my game is off." No, that's not a dig. That's just reality.
I would contemplate putting you in net before I would put Jack Campbell, and I apologize for that.
You know, I would have been a great goaltender 35 years ago when you had goaltenders at 5'6", 5'7", above 50. I'm a Darren Pang size goaltender. Put me in the 80s, I'd have a shot in net at that size. But now I would get my goals against average would be like 14.5 in today's NHL.
They're like NBA centers now. They're all just giants right now. I guess the market inefficiency is small goaltenders. So maybe we'll see that coming up.
Yeah, right? But that's my point there. Yeah, talking to Kyler, talking to Matthias Ekholm, talking to McDavid in that locker room, and everybody on that team stands behind Stuart Skinner. There's no Jay as well too. There's no second questioning if Stuart's the goaltender. I know people are saying, it's tough for a rookie, but no, they stand behind Skinner still.
I think Stu's gotten consistently better each and every game. There's a couple of things we need to say before we continue on. First, we're raising money for the Alphabet Sports Collective throughout the Stanley Cup playoffs. The link's in the description below. They contribute. It's a great cause, and obviously there's 134 people watching. So if you guys want to go click on the link, donate if you can, if it's within your means, then we truly would appreciate it. But we also have 134 people 134 people watching.
Damn.
We only have 35 likes. So let's get it at least 3 digits tonight. Obviously, I'm sad. I don't know about the other two guys. They're kind of here just for a good time.
Kings fans, why don't you laugh at their pain?
Exactly. Come dunk on me.
Laugh at their pain. And that's what Leaf fans. Everyone loves to dunk on Leaf fans. It's just more.
I know.
It's to a 10th degree. So dunk all you want. Just be respectful, obviously, of your fellow fans. But dunk away.
And I just wanted to build on Avery's point that he made a little earlier too. That, man, was I ever shocked about how passionate Kings fans are? Agree or disagree, there's definitely some assholes like there are in every single fan base. Like we saw Oilers fans throwing garbage on the ice, during game 1, right? Those are the Edmonton assholes, and I've seen the Kings assholes too, right? There's and in a playoff series when tensions are high, they're going to be going back and forth at each other. So I really do appreciate the passion and all the Kings fans that have come out in this chat to come dunk on us. Like, man, I don't want to say I underestimated the Kings, because I truly knew that they were the worst matchup for the Oilers. I knew that in my heart. Trust me, I wanted the Winnipeg Jets. I really wanted the Winnipeg Jets. But that's just not how it worked out. And I was confident in the Oilers' ability. I thought that they would be able to overcome some of the issues that we've seen in this series. And these are just and then what's happened with this lack of discipline, with all these other number of things that have come out. These are issues like blowing leads that we saw November, December, when the Oilers weren't in a playoff spot, right? These are I keep going back to what Leon called it. immature, stupid mistakes that are biting them in the ass. And the thing is, the culprits are guys like Leon Draisaitl, your leader, the guy who has the second highest points per game all time in the playoffs after playing, I believe, 60 games or something, or 40 games or whatever it is that Leon's played. Like, again, the Oilers have put themselves in this hole. And I know, even being down 2-1, you're running out of runway to come back. But, and I know we're going to, and what happens like clockwork with the playoffs, you always hear, oh, well, teams down 2-1 and lose on the road. Yeah, the 63.4% chance of coming back. Every broadcast like clockwork, you hear those percentages come out. But what I want to say to the Oilers fans who have lost hope, like myself, every single one of those teams that's in that percentage didn't have guys like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl on their roster. If there's any two players who are capable of manufacturing a comeback from a deficit in a series, it is those two guys. I know that they're fuming. I know that Leon probably blames himself for that unsportsmanlike conduct, and you can guarantee that they're going to come out 200 times harder the next game that they play against LA. I know that Jay Woodcroft, I have never had faith in a coach like I have had in Jay Woodcroft to make the tactical adjustments to the schemes that McClellan's throwing out. And it's so funny that these guys who started and worked together, for 15 years have come to battle in back-to-back years, right? And you're just seeing this tactical battle because, man, you got one person who I think you do have to give a lot of credit to is Todd McClellan, right? Like the way he's using his systems, and it can be boring as hell sometimes, but the way he's utilizing and has got his team to defend has been a masterclass. And you saw it this game. You saw him make a switch up in his scheme. And, they still went back to that 1-3-1 later on in the game when they did have the lead. But you saw the Oilers struggle with today. And you saw they learned how to beat that 1-3-1 in games 1 and 2. They just were unlucky. That's why I fully expect Jay Woodcroft, Draisaitl, McDavid to come out, make the adjustments, and we get a much more competitive game, if not, an Oilers
Man,
game.
It's such a shame because, and this is why I wanted to do it, because I love watching Connor McDavid play hockey. Like, I always say this. I say that most people in my life don't care about hockey. Okay, my parents, sister, brother-in-law don't care. I bet you if I sat them down in front of a TV and I said, tell me which number on the back of the jersey is the best player on the ice, go. They would 100% say Connor McDavid because he does otherworldly shit out there. He almost took that team on his back. He almost scored a goal off a man's skull. And he did it before. I saw in the replay. I didn't remember that goal, but against Arizona. And he almost did it again to Korpisalo. That's how crazy he is right now. But man, I just think it's so bad it'd be so bad for the NHL at whole. Like, this is the guy. This is your Michael Jordan. This is your LeBron. This is your Tom Brady. I don't want to gas up Oilers fans, but they should be in the close to the finals every year. Well, that's how you sell the game, right?
Absolutely. I agree with you. And I know people earlier this season were talking about Connor McDavid being the most dominant athlete in all of professional sports at one time, right? Because he won the scoring title by 50 points. LeBron isn't what he was at one point.
He's head and shoulders above everybody else. Nobody else in their leagues can be that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I agree with you. The only thing is, right, like in football, you have an amazing quarterback. He can carry you somewhere. We talked about this earlier. You have LeBron, Anthony Davis, and, a couple shooters. You can make it to the
45
finals.
Minutes a game, right?
They're exactly.
For 90%
in
of the
hockey,
game, right?
You got McDavid and Draisaitl on the ice for 23 minutes each, and the rest, it's, your Klim Kostins, your Derek Ryans, your whatever. And I want to say, and I saw Mickinator, and I could tell he's defeated in chat, saying that this will be another year where McDry will not get a cup. Well, they're only down 2-1. Teams have come back from this before.
Wow. I thought Leaf fans were macabre, man. Jeez.
No, dude. And yeah. So,
jeez.
So yeah, no, exactly. But what I want to say is this year specifically, and there's so many other years in the past where you can sit there and say, oh, wow, the Oilers, blah, blah, McDavid's never going to win a cup, blah, blah. I don't think that's the case because you look at the buildup of the roster in years. You had McDavid playing with Ty Ratty and Alex Chason. You had Leon Draisaitl with Justin Puljujärvi and Zach Cassian. You had like there was nothing there. This is the first year where I can confidently look at the Oilers roster lines 1 through 4, the deep pairings 1 through 3, and say, what more could you ask for? Like, this is the best. Exactly. This is a good enough roster. And the thing is, if they aren't able to overcome this adversity, then again, like we said before, maybe they aren't as good as we thought they were, but there isn't much I can't go back at the offseason and at the trade deadline and say, oh, I would have liked this pickup here. I would have liked someone better. They got the best defenseman available, right? They've gotten wingers, whether you like Kane or not, whether you think Hyman's had a good series or not. They have players with the talent level of putting them over, the capable of putting them over the top and beating the Kings. The Kings are doing a really good job shutting them down. Again, we can have there's that whole officiating thing or whatnot, but at the end of the day, these guys should be able to fight through it. They should be smart, not taking stupid penalties. They should be better than they are showing in this series. But if they're not, then that's just what happens. But I think they gave themselves the best opportunity they could have this season, at least, to put themselves in the best situation to go on a long playoff run. And again, not over by any means. I still am confident in the Edmonton Oilers, but I wanted to say that for all the people who are like disheartened.
I think this is like I think sorry, Avery, but I think this might be like the real Western Conference final, in my opinion. I'm like, one of these teams is going to the Stanley Cup final to play the Toronto Maple Leafs for sure. That's what's gonna happen. Sorry, that's what I see. I see the Kings are just that, like they're the quintessential. Oh my God, not quite flashy, but they're just gonna just run through the playoffs. I feel like if they win this series, they're gonna run through and go to the finals to lose to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Avery, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, that would become the Love Guru series come to life. That would be the Love Guru matchup.
Right.
If you get Toronto, LA. So
you have Jacques Laplante. What was his name? What was Justin Timberlake's name? The goalie versus Darren Roanoke. I don't know.
Never seen the movie. I've only seen the clip of Kanye West in the crowd.
I love hockey.
But guys, one last point, guys, in the series though is that last year, talk about this team. Last year, you didn't have Ekholm, Bukestad, you didn't have Skinner as a starter, and his team came back from being down 3-2. They were near elimination last year, and they came back to win that series. So it's fully in the realm of possibility they can come with a better team and get out of a 2-1 hole to turn it through the round. I have no doubts in my mind they can tie the series up and still find a way to win this series.
Absolutely,
guys.
You go back home tied 2-2. It's anyone's game, and we saw a similar script play out last year, right? The Oilers had must-win games, and they won them. We'll see if it's the same players. You have a very similar makeup of the team. You have I believe, a better defensive core, like
far better defense core.
Yeah, exactly. You've essentially taken a retired Duncan Keith and replaced him with Matthias Ekholm, right? Like significant upgrade on the left side. I thought specifically, if we want to look at the players in the game, like it's funny because if you go look at the shift chart, I believe that Evan Bouchard, and at least when I looked in the second period, just bear with me here. And if we look at, this is probably the worst game that the Bouchard-Ekholm pairs had on the Edmonton Oilers, right? Like, they're usually phenomenal at transitioning out the puck. They usually are able to communicate, make reads well off each other. And there were a number of times, like Ekholm and Bouchard had a huge misread at the offensive blue line that led to a Kings 2-0 when they were 4-4, right? Like, there was a number of issues with that pair, and I don't think Matthias Ekholm is such a good defenseman. Evan Bouchard is such a good defenseman that I don't think they have a game like that again. Like McDavid. So 5-on-5 here, McDavid only controlled, 34% of the expected goals when he was on the ice. He generated 0.64 expected goals for and 1.21 expected goals against when he was on the ice. You can't if the LA Kings win the matchup while Connor McDavid is on the ice 5-on-5, they will win the series, right? There needs to be an adjustment there. I understand the theory and why Jay Woodcroft put Evander Kane on his line, right? You're trying to get Kane to throw some hits, generate a bit more space for McDavid 5-on-5, but that clearly it didn't work the way that Jay wanted. I would switch Nugent-Hopkins and Kane back probably. I put Nuge back with McDavid, Kane back with Draisaitl, and see how that works. But like what they did tonight, obviously the Kings kind of figured it out. They changed up their thing. It worked. The highlights, obviously, like I said before, Fogle, McLeod, Ryan, the depth for the Oilers has really, really shown up, whether they've gotten on the score sheet or not. There were a couple of plays where you see, and I think Korpisalo is starting to get into the Oilers' heads a little bit, where Draisaitl looks like he has a good shot on net, but he passes it up, or a backhand even, he passes it up to give a Cody Ceci, who hasn't scored since Game 2 against Calgary back in October, right? Like there was just, you don't want Cody Ceci being the trigger man. There are a number of Oilers who were poor tonight, who I think could be a lot better. I really hope the LA Kings continue to dress Zach McEwen because that sure works to the Oilers' advantage when he's on the ice. I mean, I thought Velarde for the Kings really excelled at the center role. He was a lot better than Lazat's been this series. But yeah, and also just another player I want to credit on LA is Quentin Byfield. Quentin Byfield, this is by far in the matchups that the Edmonton Oilers have played. The LA Kings is by far the most effective that I've seen Quentin Byfield be when he's on the ice. He had a post early in the first period. But yeah, I think the Kings have been really good. I think they've been better offensively. I know the reffing will drive me nuts, and I don't want to focus on that because again, that's a loser's mentality, and the Oilers have to fight through it because there's literally no other option. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
There you go. And and before we wrap things up here, guys, I want to ask each of you, I'll ask both of you guys, game 4, going into game 4. Who do you think steps up for Edmonton game 4 now? Who do you think steps up? I'm going to give my team. I think this will be the game which you will see Zach Hyman get out of his funk. That's my tip to get out of his funk for game 4. Who do you got, Zach?
Oh, me? Okay, well, so I just one thing I saw in chat that I kind of like. People are talking about Holloway, and I know Bakersfield's season ended tonight. I think Dylan Holloway's speed and the way he plays the game, and I know the bottom six has been good, but Kyler Yamamoto has been missing passes. Where this is playoffs, anything can happen. Balls well. We saw Matthew Nyes excel with the Leafs on on a third line role. Dylan Holloway, very, very similar player. Dylan Holloway had a better points per game than Matthew Nyes in college. Now, I understand Dylan Holloway was a first round pick. Matthew Nyes was a second round pick, whatever. But again, Dylan Holloway, he did have the points early on. I think his game specifically could be really, really benefit the Oilers. And you have no wingers essentially going in your top 6. Maybe I'm nuts. Maybe Oilers fans don't like this. I would absolutely throw Dylan Holloway, get him in the mix there because he hits, he skates, he can shoot. I think he'd be really, really effective in this series. And Kai is celebrating Abbotsford Canucks W. Yeah, AHL playoffs. Let's go. But yeah, I just in terms of Dylan Holloway, obviously, I think he'd be really good. But at the end of the day, Avery, and I know, and I hate doing this. I hate doing this. I will never say a bad word about Connor McDavid in my entire life. Has Connor McDavid ever gone 3 games without recording a 5-on-5 point, which he has in this series? He has 3 points all in the power play.
It's rare like that. It's a rare sight. Shutting down McDavid for 3 games in a row on 5-on-5 is so tough.
That's crazy.
Exactly. We saw the slash that Dino did on McDavid. We see the abuse that he's taking. But again, when you're the best player in the world and you are essentially the Oilers' offense, you need to have one of those Michael Jordan games, those LeBron games, those games.
That's exactly going to say that.
Like those games that just it doesn't matter. You have to just put yourself above everyone. And he was doing it. You saw those rushes tonight, right? You saw those bursts of speed, but they're just stopped by Korpisalo. And I think Korpisalo's play on McDavid has made it seem like the Kings are playing better defense than they are on him. I think it's a lot of penalties that they're taking that are getting goal. And Korpisalo has been phenomenal.
Yeah, McDavid was cooking. He was completely in his bag there. Just absolutely just dusting everybody out there. Korpisalo, again, what an underrated pickup by the Kings team, man. That completely changed their entire team. Because if you had Jonathan Quick in there, I think McDavid would have had 3 goals, maybe 4. I don't think they might not have made the position that they were in now.
Oh no.
But I don't think they wouldn't last in this series if they had someone like Jonathan Quick.
Nope.
And that
Zero
Cal
chance.
Peterson, no.
Or Phoenix Copley, no.
Yeah, I saw after game 1, Kings fans, game 2, Kings fans wanted Copley, and I'm like, as an Oilers fan, if you guys put Copley in, I would be ecstatic because Korpisalo has been phenomenal, and I know Korpisalo was one of the main reasons the Leafs lost to Columbus when they did, right? Korpisalo was fantastic in that series. He's done it in the playoffs before, and he's doing it again. And this is the thing, Connor McDavid, you need. I know it sounds crazy to say, but you got to finish those chances that you can create for yourself. You got to just have one of those games, the record books that we're getting 30 years. You can be on ESPN Classics where you just see Connor McDavid go off for regular or 5-on-5 hat trick in the first 2 periods to go up 3-0 or just something wild. Because if the Oilers are going to win this series, it is going to be on the back of Connor McDavid. Depth, everything else nice, but it's McDavid.
That was going to be my answer. I mean, it's an easy answer, but that's the one. it's going to be him. It's also going to be Draisaitl too. Like you can't get a game like that from Draisaitl from like they had this game where, he didn't really do anything offensively. And he got a penalty that kind of cost them the game. So those two guys have got to be absolutely beyond reproach. They got to be impeccable because this Kings team, they kind of know how to defend them a little bit. I mean, you said, yeah, obviously the goaltending has been great, but they didn't give up a ton of easy chances, I found, especially in the first period where it was like 3-3 in shots. I had never seen that at the end of the
This was their best game for sure.
Yeah. So Draisaitl's got to be like, it's got to be like two absolute superstars just clicking. People are asking, what do you guys think of this? Should they put them back on the same line?
So for myself, I found myself I see Glenn in the chat, could use it to Foley right now. Can't believe we have Flames fans trolling. Yeah. But I always do love a good Tyler Toffoli shout out for my man Rob. Anyways, just in terms of the classic McDry, I found myself later on in this game thinking like, okay, we got to get a couple of those McDry shifts, and I understand why Woodcroft is keeping them apart, but the Oilers' depth players, McLeod, Bukestad, Ryan, they've been so effective in the matchup that they had. I think you can afford to put Leon and Connor out together 5-on-5, twice a period kind of thing. They can generate so much together. And we saw in the playoffs last year when Leon was hurt, when he was playing at 40% and still putting up all those points, when he's playing on Connor's wing, they dominated. Game 6 and 7, the two games when I believe Draisaitl was on McDavid's wing for those games. I wouldn't take him off his own line consistently, but if you're running 11 and 7, I would definitely try and find ways to get McDavid. If Kings ice the puck, Draisaitl McDavid after a penalty kill, Draisaitl McDavid, right? Like you got to get him out with. I think that is an adjustment that will have to be made. Because that is kind of like the secret weapon. It's your Marner, Nylander, Matthews line. Just to bring Fuad into the conversation. But yeah, that's what I think.
Woo! No, did I hear? Did this is about the Leafs? Did I hear something about the Leafs?
That you did, but that's a good point, Zach, about using McDry, because you do have, again, the depth is there. You'll need to do it, but yeah, after a penalty kill, or even if you're down a goal late, you need that goal. You can run McDry because it's very effective. It works. It's a thing that is so dangerous to use in the postseason when you do need a goal. And hey, we're gonna wrap things up here on Game Over Edmonton. Thank you all. We had over 100 viewers tapping in to the stream. That's amazing stuff.
Hit like one more time, guys.
Hit it again. Unlike and stop. Like take off the like and then like it again. I know it won't matter, but just do it again. Get the feeling of liking it again. Before you guys sign up, I have to say, and I said this before when the Leafs played the Oilers, like the Leafs and Oilers is the Stanley Cup final. Canadian hockey fans deserve. Could you imagine these two teams with the offensive superstars just absolutely going at it for a 7-game series? I don't know who would win, to be honest. And it would be so great. And I know Gary Bettman would just never let it happen. He would call a lockout before it was even close to happening. He would lie down in the middle of the ice and say, there'll be no playoffs, none, get out. But it would be absolutely epic. And I'm praying for it to happen. Let's make that happen.
Let's see.
Alberta might need to secede, but will secede from Canada. I think
I was gonna make that joke, but I wasn't sure.
It's just gonna secede. I don't know. It's just.
I'd vote for it. I'd vote for it. If this happened, that's the only way. But man, I don't think I could take some. Listen, there's some Leafs fans, and I know Avery's trying to end the show like a madman, but I just gotta say, there are some Leafs fans that I find so funny on Twitter that I follow, but. The number one team I hate playing the most in the regular season is the Toronto Maple Leafs because they're so funny when they're not trolling me, but when they're trolling me, I want to die. Jake the Leafs, Kevin Papel, all these guys. I can't take it, but I love it. I would.
I'll say this much. My last point: if we did get an Edmonton Toronto Cup final, and Edmonton won, since I am mobile, I'm coming to the SDPN studios. I'm coming to the new set. I'm putting my feet up on the new desk.
Oh no!
And I am relaxing during SDPN. Coming to the set, I'm relaxing, feet up on the desk in front of Jesse, Adam, and Steve.
Just decked out in Oilers gear. He's taken over. Avery is mobile, so like we got to watch out for that Leafs fans. No, but yeah, like I need to try to wrap up the show, but yeah, thanks for having me, guys. This was a lot of fun.
No.
Crazy good game. I'm really glad it was a banger of a game. Sorry the Oilers lost. I do like the Oilers. I would like them to win because I want all the Canadian teams to do well, despite them sometimes being rivals.
No, it certainly
Absolutely.
was. It was a fun game, entertaining either way, win or lose. And as we wrap up on Game Over Edmonton, I want to thank Fly for coming in from Game Over Toronto. I want to thank Zach. We'll be back again, recapping Game 4, and producer Rob for sitting up with us until 2 a.m. Eastern Time. Hardest working man in SDPN, doing all the different stream producing. Gotta love him for that. Anyways, we'll talk to you guys again on Sunday night. We are out of here. Peace.
Go Leafs, go.
Game over! Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.